Hello everybody, welcome to Dakman Productions and welcome to Conahey Rail. And today's video, we're going to talk about a couple suggestions that I got, which is kind of odd, but we'll get into to that here in a minute. So I'm kind of like happy right now because I finally got all my lighting replaced with LED lighting and got the switch or two switches in. So all I gotta do is flip a switch and two switches and all the lights are on. So I'm pretty happy with that. Before everything was temporary. I had to pull chain cords on all the lights, turning them on. So it got to be a real pain. But there were people questioning me when I said, "Hey, the lights got knocked down on my house because a jet went supersonic back in November." And people were like, "Oh, I didn't hear anything about that." And, there were people who said, "Hey, what's that?" Because I was standing in the shop and the doors were shaking. And it wasn't an earthquake because, the floor wasn't moving. It was just that the windows and doors were moving. So we knew it was a supersonic jet in the area. Because we actually have a military guy who works in the shop with us, and he knew what it was. But the story came out later that, yes, there was an authorization of jets being authorized to go in supersonic mode to intercept a airplane that, I guess, the pilot got into some kind of health problem where he either passed away or had a stroke or something was wrong at the controls and the plane was flying towards D.C. So they intercepted it. So moving on, I've had people ask for a video on the what actually kicked off Conahey Rail back in 2014. So people were asking about this 1987 Conrail limited set, which I bought in 2014. I actually put it in my bedroom at the time because I did not have an O-gauge layout started. I was still in G gauge back then. And I knew I wasn't going to be happy with an O-gauge layout in a 10 by 15 room. I knew I wasn't going to be happy. I wasn't happy in G gauge anymore because they weren't offering what I wanted. So I made the switch in 2015, and eventually the Conrail Limited went down here. Funny part is I have not run this set since 2015. I bought it, ran it all 2015, and got into Legacy and never looked back again. Basically, this is standard with conventional controls. But we're going to put a video together and we'll talk about that in another video. Another video suggestion I got from a few viewers, which sort of shocked me, is they said, "Hey Dakman, when are you going to get into... You have Conrail and you're doing a Penn Central, Conrail takes over Penn Central. When are you going to get into CSX and Norfolk Southern?" I'm like, "Huh? What? Wait a minute. What are we talking? Huh?" It's like, okay, let's back up the train here. Boop, boop, boop. Well, anyway, more like a truck. I don't know if everybody's been paying attention to my videos or videos get skipped by them, but I've had CSX and Norfolk Southern already on my layout, and I've actually owned CSX and Norfolk Southern stuff, and I actually already did a Conrail gets taken over by Norfolk Southern and CSX and Conrail shared assets. I already made these videos in the past. So I do have a Conahey Rail playlist, which I will put in the description of this video. Not that everything's in a chronological order, because I've been all over the place in my time of being in O-gauge in just the short time period that I've been in it since 2015. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm just all over the place, And the reason why, and I explained this in one video a long time ago, maybe last year. So I sold my CSX and Norfolk Southern trains only because I was just missing out on too much Conrail stuff. I do like the modern stuff. I do like the CSX and Norfolk Southern stuff. I like seeing what the trains are today. Unfortunately, I'm not a rich person. I can't afford to buy Conrail stuff and the modern stuff and keep up with it. It's just totally impossible. And there's just been way too many Conrail things that I missed, unfortunately, that I would like to go back and buy again or try and find. And anybody who knows, once you miss something, it's almost impossible to find it. And when you do, somebody wants $500 more than what it's sold for originally. Maybe it's a little over exaggeration, but the people want a lot more than what it sold for originally. And that's just the way it is, because Lionel is BTO or built to order. So there's only a certain amount out there, and that's it. Alright, so for this video, I'm going to show everyone, the viewers, how I went, Norfolk Southern and Conrail shared assets and also CSX. So I'm going to dig up my old videos and splice something together to make it look, in chronological order. Okay, here's a Conrail run, here's a CSX run, here's a Norfolk Southern run, and here's a Conrail shared assets run. So before anybody messages me, I don't have any more CSX or Norfolk Southern O-gauge trains. It's already all gone. So no messages, please. Hey, what do you got? I sold that stuff sold within a month. Every time I listed it, it went boom. It's very popular stuff that I got, sold. And but I am looking for, I would like to get find a Lionel Conrail T1 at some point in time. Buy one of those. If it's the right price, I might even consider a Lionel Vision Line Conrail Bicentennial GG1. I'd like to add that to the collection one day. Still looking for the top priority is the Lionel Conrail GP35 without the Conrail fonts on the side of it. The mistake locomotive that Lionel made. Would love to get that. There's still Conrail rolling stock out there that I'm looking for. Would love to find the MTH Premier Conrail intermodal cars or Husky stack cars in blue. So yeah, there's a lot of Conrail things still on my list that I missed. So let's check out my past videos. I spliced this together. So let's go. Let's get started. First, I would like to show off my favorite train that I like to run and the longest one. So here is my Conrail coal drag. At this point in time, it was 51 cars. So I have two Lionel Legacy SD80 Mac locomotives, both powered, that are pulling the train. And those are legacy locomotives. They're not the Line Master. The Line Master is actually semi-scale, so these are full-scale legacy units. Plus, I have an SD80 Mac non-powered unit in the middle of the train as a DPU, or otherwise known as a distributed power unit. And just like the real Conrail days back in the 80s, I have two locomotives that are pushing it. Both of those are powered. So I would like to show off this run. And as I mentioned in my last tour video, my layout is 12 foot wide by 35 foot long. So that allows me to run the long trains that I really wanted to run which was planned when I first built this. So my very first time venturing away into something more modern in the Conrail era was with the Norfolk Southern. Lionel made this Norfolk Southern Dash 9 rebuild basically. Norfolk Southern had this AC 44 C6M, which was rebuilt from a Dash 9 locomotive. Now, anybody who followed that story would know that rebuild in real life was a big failure, and Norfolk ended up selling that locomotive. But this was my first time that I actually went newer than the Conrail era. This locomotive was also known as a nicknamed a horse bonnet as well. Now here I was able to find the Lionel Legacy Norfolk Southern Conrail Heritage Unit, and I run it with the Dash 9 rebuild. Now I know people are going to say, Dakman, you should have kept that because it's Conrail. Not really, because it's a Norfolk Southern Conrail Heritage Unit. So yes, I ended up selling that because I wanted to stick with Conrail and Pryor, and at least try and do that. So I ended up selling my red bonnet, the Dash 9 rebuild, to my good friend Sterling Callahan over there at Ravenhawk. Great channel. Check him out, Ravenhawk. He does O-Gauge HO. Great guy. Followed his channel for a very long time. And so I replaced it with the Lionel Legacy Penn Central SD70 Ace Norfolk Southern Heritage Unit. And people were actually upset that I sold the Dash 9 rebuild. I just didn't understand. But whatever, they're my trains. I do what I want. But at any rate, so we're going to go ahead and watch this run. So my very first CSX purchase was this Lionel Legacy AC6000, which was a GE unit. And yeah, so I jumped onto the CSX bandwagon because Conrail was split between Norfolk Southern and CSX. So my second CSX locomotive was this Lionel Legacy Pride in Service, honoring the law enforcement locomotive. Now, what drove me to buy this was the fact that Lionel was advertising this particular locomotive with one red ditch light and one blue ditch light. This was how the law enforcement locomotive was originally presented when it was first released out of the shop. But of course, according to FR regulations, they cannot run down the rails with a red lens and a blue lens. They have to be clear. So the red and the blue lens was for show purposes and introduction of the locomotive, which I did understand. But Lionel did advertise it with the red and the blue lens, which is the version I wanted. And that's how it was advertised in the catalog. But when it finally arrived, unfortunately, it had clear lenses, and I was totally disappointed and devastated. And some people thought I was being too harsh on Lionel. And my rebuttal to that is, look, this is how they advertised it, and that's not how it came. And this is what I was expecting, but I didn't get what I was expecting. And so that's why I was totally disappointed. Some people thought I was being too crucial on being a rivet counter, and I was being, if I want to be prototypical, I should jump into HO. So there was a lot of, I received a little bit of, and I can take it. I understand. Everybody's got a right to their comment, and I'm good with that. And as well as I got a right to my opinion, you got a right to your opinion, but that's how my opinion is on this particular piece. So I still feel the same way today, but I I eventually sold both units anyway, and truly I was unhappy with the Lionel CSX locomotive. So the very last CSX locomotive that I bought was this Lionel Legacy SD70 Mac, which is actually a Conrail patch to CSX locomotive that we're going to check out here. It's the one that's in the Conrail quality paint scheme. So that's actually a Conrail patch to CSX. So underneath of the cab number is 777. In small little letters, it says CSX underneath the road number. And another cool piece, I'm glad that Lionel is actually offering patched transition era locomotives and rolling stock. So I gotta give it to them there, hands down to them for offering this. And here I'm actually running. It's not mine at this point. I actually sold it to Daryl over at the DC area high railers. So this is the first time as it's being run as he owns it, but I'm actually running it for him, showing him how to run it and how to use the Bluetooth app and all that fun stuff. So I'm actually running this for him during the show at Timonium, Maryland, the Great Scale Train Show on the DC area independent high railer. So thank you, Daryl and Doug, for allowing me to run a train that's not even mine on your layout. And I had a great time running it. And I'm sure I believe Daryl enjoyed the run as well. He's a big, huge CSX fan. So he really loves that locomotive. So I'll end the video with my second most favorite train to run, which is the Lionel Legacy Conrail Big Blue set with the SD70 Mac and lead, which is what the set came with. The set originally came with that locomotive and 4 different cars. I do have a Lionel Legacy Conrail Quality SD60M trailing that locomotive. And I finally added some, after this video, I got some 60-foot auto parts cars to run with the 86-foot auto parts cars. And you'll see why having a large layout really helps.